If you place a vending machine like so, so that it is inside of the door completely, but still somewhat close to it, the door blocks drones from being able to access the vending machine, but when the door is open, they are able to access the vending machine. But first of all, you can do the same with a double door, and you can fit two vending machines in one. Both of them have their drone ability controlled by the same door. And I just want to illustrate here, both of these work like this. So this is about the minimum, maybe a little bit closer, but you have a lot of wiggle room in terms of how far back from the door you can place it. So when I'm placing them, if you have a stone foundation, it's very easy. What I do is I just put the back end of the line on top of that first line, like that first 1/3 line of the foundation, and that is that will always work, but you can go much farther back. So the important part of this is that because it's a door, you can use a door controller to be able to control the drone ability electrically. So right now that doesn't do anything, but through Rust Plus, you can control a smart switch, which can be connected and of course that would need some power. That way when the switch is on, the door is open, and when the switch is off, the door is shut. You would then connect this to your Rust Plus app on your phone, and you would be able to control it from your phone. So at that point, this technology is completely usable. You can go from there and build off of it all you want, but I'm going to show some more advanced things that I use, both in terms of safety mechanisms and just general use things. But the way you would use this in the game is, let's say I wanted to buy a mini from Bandit, so I need to get there with 750 scrap, but I don't want to do that run because no matter how close you are, that run with 750 is never going to be that safe. So what I can do is I can say put up an offer for, rather than doing the full 750, what I like to do is do 50. And I'll explain why in a moment. And you just want to sell it for one of anything. One of scrap, one wood. It doesn't really matter. I like to do wood because if you're doing one scrap, especially with this lower denominator method, that scrap cost can be not negligible. The wood cost is negligible, however. So if I do that, what I can do is then make my way over to Bandit, and then if anyone sees this right now, right, if people are looking around at the shops and they see, oh, this guy is selling scrap for wood, well, they're going to probably try to snag that offer from the drone station, so they might go, okay, I'm gonna yoink that. But they can't because it's not reachable. Only once you come to Bandit and you're ready, you would open your phone, turn on the switch, and then right away open it. A very important thing to remember that really helps the usefulness of this is that any item that is stackable, you can only set the sale to the maximum of the stack. Like for example, you can only sell 2 syringes in one trade. But when you actually go to the drone station, you can purchase as much quantity of that as there is available. So I'll just go to the drone station to show that. You can see with things like AKs and stuff like that, you can only purchase one of them, no matter how many are in the vending machine. For each fee, I mean, you can only purchase one. But for anything that is stackable, like C4 and meds and ammo, you see I can purchase as much as there is in the vending machine for the price of one fee. So see, I can buy as much ammo as I want for 120 scrap fee. I can buy as many syringes as I want for 120 scrap fee. And the major benefit of that is that you can have those things set up with the system and ready to go, not for any one specific time that you want to transfer them, but just for any time that you're out on a roam or something and you need some extra supplies, you need some ammo, or you need some meds, or you need a little bit of boom because you have a perfect opportunity for a raid, but you don't want to run all the way back to your base. You can stop at either of the safe zones, either bandit or outpost, and see here I paid 40 scrap and I get all of this completely safe to me. So that's the way I use this. I have a vending machine somewhat like so. Obviously this doesn't have either of the systems on it, but just to illustrate the point. So it's not the fee, like the split fees isn't really a big deal unless you're trying to transfer a bunch of single items like AKs and stuff like that, which you will have to pay 20 scrap each. The reason I do 50 instead of the full 750 is because this gives me the ability with one fee to buy anywhere from 50 to the 750 or however much scrap is in the vending machine. So you see all of these are all options that I could buy. Because let's say on my way to bandit, I get 200 scrap from a road or something like that. I don't want the full 750 because then I just have to fly home with that and I'm risking additional. So I would instead just buy 500, right? And again, this is why you wouldn't want to use one scrap, because that 10 scrap, that's an extra 50% on top of the 20 scrap fee that you're already paying, which is really the main downside to this, of course. But in this scenario, it's obviously worth it because you're getting that 750 to bandit completely safely. You don't have to risk it at all out in the wild. So really paying 20 scrap to do that is no big deal at all. You can use this for just about anything, and for any item you can calculate for yourself whether you think it's worth 20 scrap to safely get it to one of the safe zones. Of course, you can do this to bandit or outpost. As for additional security measures, the ideal way to do it is to have it inside of a compound like so. And if you do this, there's really no need for any additional security because the chances of somebody being in your compound and being close enough to react and get to it in time to purchase one of the orders there are very low. If it's not inside the compound, what I would do is include a heartbeat detector which is connected to a smart alarm. So that way you're able to see the status of that smart alarm and that heartbeat detector from the Rust Plus app. So if that was active when you go to do the trade, you just wouldn't open the door. You would wait until there's no signal from the heartbeat detector, and then you would know that no one is there. The second major security thing that I do just about every time is adding a timer after the smart switch, which is started by it. And that just makes it a guaranteed amount of time that the door will be open each time, so that you aren't able to leave it on by accident and it won't ever be too short, right? So if I turn the switch on, you see the door will open, but then when the timer is done, it shuts. You can set this to whatever you want. I generally do 2 or 3 seconds because that's plenty enough time for you to press the button and then do the trade while it's open. Now, one of the main downsides is let's say I'm selling, I have the scrap order selling, and I also want to transfer C4, right? I can do it 1 for 1, so again, I can purchase anywhere from 1 to 10 C4 for the price of 1 fee. But the problem is, right now, even though those can't be purchased by anyone, they can be seen. So when people look at this, okay, they know I have 750 scrap in there and that I have 10 C4 in there. That's very valuable information. That 10 C4 alone might tell them that I should raid that. That seems worth it to me. So what you would ideally do is not leave the stuff in there, and only when you know that you're going to be needing to purchase it soon, like within a matter of minutes, then you would load the vending machine and then either spawn over by one of the save zones or do the run that you need to do or whatever. That still is quite risky because there's a decent amount of time that is left there. You have to remember, on a popular server, people are checking the shops all the time. So there's a pretty good chance that somebody's going to see that. And if they see 10 or C4 selling for 1 wood each, even if they don't try it themselves, they're probably going to type something in chat, because that's not generally something you see. So the way you can avoid that, though, is with the new automation. With a system like this. You see, this is the exact same door control system. But this system, what it does is it has a send line, which is green, and a return line, which is red, right? So it's able to send and receive from the vending machine, and it's controlled via another smart switch. So when that smart switch is on, you see it toggles which one of these is active, and it will start loading the vending machine with whatever you have. And then of course you would have your sales set. You see, for the higher quantity stuff, it does take a little bit of time for it to transfer it all. But for the smaller things like C4 or things like that, it'll transfer essentially instantly. And the point of this is that you would have this off at all times essentially, so that this vending machine is empty. And even though it has the listings, you're not able to ever see those listings, because if they go to it at the drone station, right, it'll be not droneable, and when it's not droneable, you're not able to see the listings like you are normally. So what I would do is I would first check it. If I had a security heartbeat, I would first check that, make sure it's not active, and then I would turn this on, right, and then I would wait for however much I need to purchase to be transferred. Like if I was trying to buy the 750 scrap for a mini, it will take a little bit, but nonetheless, it is less time than if you were just leaving it in normally. So whenever it's ready, I would then activate this switch, open the door, do the purchase, and then I would turn off this switch for everything else to be unloaded, everything that I didn't purchase to then be unloaded. So again, it's not visible and people can't gather that information. So these are really the two most important pieces of technology. I mean, this one is obviously the most important because it's what actually allows this system to work, but I personally always build this system as well. I mean, mostly just because automation is the cool new thing, and why not? It's really not a expensive system. The way it works is the return line is constantly receiving a power, and the switch does two things. It first blocks that power so that this will turn off, and it also powers this one. And the way these conveyors are set up is, you can see the pass-through is connected to its own turn on. And the result of that is just that whenever the conveyor is receiving power, it's automatically on. So usually, even if I try to turn this off, I'm not able to, because it's just turning itself right back on. That just saves you the hassle of messing around with the turn on and turn off buttons and stuff like that. Now, as for the filters here, on the return conveyor, you don't really need any filters because you want everything to be pulled out of the vending machine. But on the top filter, I like to just have the items that I'm actually trying to sell. And if you can have a maximum if you want to. Like let's say you had this connected to your main loot system that had access to all of your loot. I mean, you wouldn't want it to transfer 5,000 scrap over. I mean, you're never gonna have a need to purchase that much. So I set a limit of 750, and then you could do the same with C4. I mean, you could set a limit to 4 or 8 or 10 or whatever like that.